Justin, good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. We're doing this extra early.
We're doing it extra early, but that's the fun of hanging out with you. You never know what time. It's a crapshoot every week. You're busy. You're a busy
Good.
man. But I'm going to get right to it because I know you got to go to work. Pro Builder Inspection. We talked about this, your new business last week. But one thing I need a quick overview, and one thing we didn't talk about is how much money people can save. Like I don't know how we didn't talk about this because it's so critical. That's money. People want to save money when they're working on their house or building a house or doing anything with their house. You know, you're trying to look at the most efficient, best cost way to do it. So again, quick overview. What is Pro Builder Inspection and how can I save money?
So, I mean, that's exactly it. And it's like, it's part of the ground level of the model of doing this is to help folks. I mean, it obviously it is a paid service because we're bringing some knowledge to the table that you can't just Google. But yeah, I mean, when you're going to purchase a house or doing a major renovation, prior to hiring the contractor and getting all the intel you need to make that final decision, I mean, this service comes in real handy as far as a money saving tool. As a quick example, we did a small inspection that ended up turning into something much larger about 3 months ago. Somebody was looking at an older, like it was a century house. I mean, beauty Victorian place, and we went in there. She wanted to do a one-on-one, and this was like prior to the website launch. And I should say, basically, the website launch, or the website itself, is a service. It's a no obligation service that basically gets a contractor, an expert, a designer, an engineer into your place, or on the phone or on a Zoom call, to inform you about a purchase, about a real estate purchase, prior to buying or prior to committing to a contractor. It can be in a house you own, it can be a house you're going to buy, it can be in a house you want to flip, and it's a service you can sign up for, and we come and we give you the goods on it with no obligation to hire anybody. You can walk away from it, not feel any need to book the job with somebody, because we're not there to book the job. We're there to give you the info. Anyway, so going back to the example, somebody just wanted an addition off the back, and very small addition. It was real straightforward. They had all kinds of space, all kinds of land behind this place, and stone foundation. A bit of a difficult intersection because we have to go poured into stone. It's never nice, but she wanted to know about it. Anyways, it was insightful and disappointing, because when I was there, we were doing the inspection for that, and I noticed a couple of bits of siding that were kind of tore off the house, and sure as hell, the thing was just absolutely full of asbestos, like the entire thing, like attic insulation, siding boards, plaster boards, all these. And we went there for something that she wanted to add on new. It was a $60,000 plus addition. But I took a couple of chunks, had them tested here in Brantford, and she would have easily been into $160,000.
Oh my goodness!
In abatement, like in removal, and then all the reconstruction of the areas, and that wasn't even going to get her a nice house. And I mean, this is deleting the addition.
So right there, it tells you just, that little bit of money to make sure this is something you can do. Like, that's a prime example. Like, I was thinking of something along those lines to bring up to you and ask you, because folks, that's the base of this. Why Justin's doing this is, you're getting the information. You're going to save yourself money in the long run, and you're going to find out information about your house maybe you didn't know, right? And I think, like you said, asbestos, and you would know looking at the age of this house. You probably went, there's a chance this might be, you know what I mean? Just looking at, I would not know that. The average guy wouldn't know that. But those determinations, and like you said, just having it tested. I mean, she probably had to make other arrangements, obviously, if she was going to do anything, but I suppose you don't want to disturb that either. So it became even more complicated.
Yeah, it did. And you know, I often carry, like, I carry a bag of Ziplocs, and there's a handful of gloves in those. And it's not just for this; it's for like every house that we work on.
Mold, right?
No, it's like, and we have we have locally actually a couple of great labs that like in the Brant and Norfolk area that I don't even find them in Toronto. They're like, when we do jobs in Toronto, I bring the testing back here. There's a couple of great places, and they do it in like 2 days. So it's really helpful for not only this new service, but I mean, when we're working on stuff, you know, the last thing we want to do is hold up for 6 weeks while we get something tested. You know,
right?
So and we do that kind of stuff. It's not that we're not in any way, shape, or form like a certified. I mean, we bring people in to do the abatements, right? But what is? Right. I mean, I've seen it enough times that I can grab a little piece off without, you know, making a big disruption, and especially if it's exterior, and get that tested. And I mean, you know, you got to do that at least to get it tested. I mean, they won't come to your house and test it, you know.
No. That's a really good example. And on a smaller scale, is there other ways too of saving, like with the inspection, of cost cutting to save? I don't want to say cut corners, but to save money. I mean, you know, like you've explained last week a little bit when people are trying to move walls. Well, maybe that advice on saying, well, if you put the wall here, right, like that can be thousands of dollars, literally, right?
It's funny you bring that up, because that's a super common one. This asbestos one is actually pretty rare because, believe it or not, in Ontario, like, we don't find much of it. It's like,
good.
Not
good to hear.
It's not like southern states where it's just like rampant. But
okay.
But it's funny you say that, because the most common thing and that we come across is obviously the wall removal. And the wall removal dictates a beam install generally, right? If it's load bearing. So yes, there's a huge tier of pricing when putting in a beam, because we can have a drop beam, we can have a flush beam, we can have a beam over 6 inches that is offset at the low point, that all of a sudden you need a bunch more engineering. We can have a partial beam with one post, or you can have a full beam with no posts. And so there's literally, on the average beam install to remove a load bearing wall, there could be 10 options, and those 10 options, like, and again, so if I say 24 feet, because that seems to be a common beam size that we put in, it's always 24 feet. So 24 feet, you know, it could be LVLs, it could be steel, it could be regular lumber, but not likely. But that can go. So our least expensive option for that is usually like $2,500 for beam only. But that same exact beam, in some cases it can be like 12.5. Right.
Oh yeah. That's a huge difference, right? You're just like, you opened my eyes pretty quick, didn't you? Wow. Like, but that's just because you're going in and making sure, like, this is something you can do, and then looking at it and saying, here's your options, rather than, I suppose some people that you come across are pretty set in what they want, right? And that's where the cost comes in.
If they want a flush beam, chances are they will cut their countertop costs to get the flush beam, you know. And these beams are typically kitchens. I mean, like, it's always to get the island into the, and so, you know, and that's what's nice about our experience in this service, is that because we, like, as a company, I've always been start to finish. I've always been from digging to putting the last caulk line in. I mean, we do everything, which is, you know, what gives us, myself and my team, the knowledge to be able to say these kind of things. Is if you do a trade, although you're probably amazingly specific at it, you don't know the 6 types of quartz. You don't know the 6 grades of quartz if you frame. If you only install trim carpentry, you probably don't know, you know, the grades of ABS piping, right? And then, you know, all the different avenues of the eras and ages of houses that those things can be combined with cost effectively, like, without costing you a fortune, right? So yeah, it's just, I mean, literally, you know, it's, I guess it is on purpose, because, I mean, I've studied and put myself through the hell of working on some of these things for 23 years now, as well as, you know, some of my affiliates. But you cannot build that knowledge from the internet, right?
No. And the last one I want to bring up, because I think it's a big problem in some cases in the older homes in Norfolk, is basements. So in your line of work, it could be as simple as a small leak. It could be, you know what I mean? Like the moisture down there, the molds. Like, is that something on the agenda for Pro Builder inspection? Is that something you'll be looking at as well?
You know, and we have a couple of moisture meters. Half the time I don't even need them, because I mean, when I see a certain type and I see that type of construction, I mean, you could really start to narrow down, you know, the age. I mean, not often am I any more than 4 or 5 years off an age of house if they know it. You know, depending on concrete type, because we have the ability to test concrete types, mortar types, all these types of things, and it'll narrow down the age of the house if we need to date it, because, you know, a double wide stone foundation is actually really impenetrable. Like, they don't leak a lot, especially if they've had a damp proofing or a waterproofing layer done at some point in their lives. But the single stone ones, I mean, they leak like they absolutely pour in water when the mortar breaks down to a certain point. Certain block types will do that, and so yeah, the basement thing in Norfolk, Brant. I mean, most of the sandy soil places down here, and even some of the clay types. I mean, there's certain areas as we get closer to Toronto that the clay plays a huge factor in whether or not it's going to leak, did leak. Because there's different static pressures in the ground, right? So, you know, even down to the soil types, and you know, don't ask me why I know so much about dirt, but I've gone through a bit of the soil education stuff, as well as our soil testing experience over the year, and it is a huge factor on the bearing of the house, how much it's going to settle over the years. The static pressure in the ground and the hydrostatic pressure of the water that's in the ground pushing against the foundation. So there's all these factors that, like, you know, it's if you bring me to a 100-year-old Norfolk house, I'm going to be like, there's a pretty good chance water table's high here. This thing's going to pour in the next 10 years, right?
Wow. Those are the types of things that people need to know, right? And the idea with Pro Builder is to save you money. And I think that's, you know, but, you know, for peace of mind, and that's the other aspect of all this. You don't even need to have anything done. If you just want Justin to come in and take a look at your house, right? That's a really good point, because some people just want to know, right? What am I getting? I bought this house 10 years ago. Where am I going with this place, right? So there's, you know, and giving them ideas to sort of say, hey, you know, you want to upsell? Well, here's some small ideas. Another aspect we didn't even talk about, which is really critical, because that way, when everybody gets ready to sell, you need to know what you need to do, and you need to know quickly, right? Usually they want to get it done and sell the place. So there's another way Justin can help you out. Interesting stuff, eh? Like, there's a lot. We've did these for like a year, and there's so much I've learned. I'm literally, I'm like, holy, you know, I didn't even think about that, right? Because that's what you do. So I do think Pro Builder inspection is one of those cases where you guys are going to grow rapidly again. And this type of information, folks, just use the service. That's all we're saying. I'm just saying, use the service.
Yeah,
it's going to help you.
It's absolutely. I mean, it's only been live for a week. We've had a few inquiries, and to be honest with you, I've been real busy at work this week, finishing up a couple places. So we haven't actually even started the marketing on this system. But yeah, I mean. I said it before. I said if it's hard truths I got to break to you, and it's disappointing answers, it's the way it is, right? I mean, you know, I hate to charge you $3.99 for a live inspection and give you the bad news, but that's a pretty big reality in this service, right?
Yeah, and plus, for $3.99 to know, instead of, like you said, $100,000 over budget later.
Yeah.
That's an okay cost.
Pretty good, you know.
Yeah, damn sure. How do people? Where's the website? What's the email address? Can you give us some information so people can get a hold of?
ProBuilderInspection.ca. You can everything that you need is in there. So we have a live chat
Okay.
system. There is the email. There's all the contacts in there. The scheduler is up and running. I'm still waiting on the payment thing working out, but that doesn't matter. You can schedule anything you want. Schedule the calls, schedule the Zoom, schedule the in-persons, and then I just, at this point, until I figure this damn thing out, you can e-transfer me directly, and I'll email you if the appointment comes in. That's the way that I have been doing it pre-launch, and the few that have come in. But yeah, eventually it will be completely automated. You'll put in your debit credit card. It will book me the time, and it's only the times that myself or Jack or some of our other staff are available. So it's not like you're going to be booking a random that we can't come. So yeah, and it's something that I think, especially the next 5, 6, 7 weeks as the spring real estate market pulls into gear here, it's something that a lot of people I think need to get on board with way before even thinking of a home inspection. Home inspection, you want, basically you've signed in, you've committed to that house.
Yeah.
You want to know the nuances of the actual mechanics of it. And they'll write a report and tell you that. But this is a pre-service, I would say. This is really a concept, ideas, and trying to figure out that how much time are we spending looking at this place, right? So it's usually second showings. Somebody falls in love with the place. Second showings, as far as real estate goes, that's where we pull in.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'll let you get back at it. Have a great weekend, and thanks. This is a great money-saving addition for our show.
No problem.
I appreciate it.